Welcome everyone, Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, I'm always amazed how the paths, if you're on the right path, and it's very important to understand if you are, everything will come to you. And of course, that's the first step. It's just like ascension is not difficult. The process to get to ascension is difficult. And you'll find that entire society, which is based on principles based in failure, based in domination, and based in complete lack of wisdom. That's what we're living in. It's called the urban legend that everyone lives in. And how many of you can break that reality? How many of you can move on past that? Well, it's very few that ultimately can do that. And life is not about making it easy for you. Why would we want to make it easy for you? Anything that is basically in abundance is something that isn't given much value. Sand. What do we give value to? Gold. Well, gold is pretty hard to get. And we'll do anything to find things that are in scarcity, and we give it great value. Diamonds, etc., which of course is kept artificially high. But the bottom line is that diamonds are something that are rare, basically. So why would you want to have anything that is very much in surplus to be something that is a high goal to achieve? So to achieve and to ascend out of this reality is very, very difficult, and you have to know the secrets. Of course, you do have to have the end secret of ascension, which is presented to people in our book that we have that teaches you how to center yourself. This shows you the basic technique of entering a particular sacred symbol, which then takes you into the next reality at the time of your death. But you have to plan that many years ahead of time by doing the practices in there. So when the time comes, you can do it instantly. But that's not really the big point. The big point is that, the process of doing that is not difficult. What's difficult is being allowed to enter into the sacred symbol and then transfer into the higher realms, because you have to be at a certain level of consciousness. Now, this has nothing to do with money or studies or what else you have. The bottom line is most people are on the same consciousness reality, regardless of whether you're a person of high education, a master of this, a master of that, whether you're a minister, a rabbi, or a Buddhi. No matter what it is, you're really at the same plane. The whole idea is to understand a reality that is working to the point that it will bring you into the next reality. And this is required at a particular understanding that you have to develop through your life. It's difficult to teach people this. I've tried teaching people for many years. Quite frankly, they are not really interested in it. They're all losers. They want to sleep on mommy's couch. They think they're something special. They want to live in fantasies or religion, or I'm the great knight. I'm good. I can go anywhere without my swords. Huh, Keithy? So the whole, or you're just a dumb guy looking that doesn't get it, that really values nothing. You're arrogantly staying in your position because you think you know something. And you don't go through life experimenting and trying to learn. That's why it's so important to have new experiences all the time. And these don't mean jumping off of bridges. Only idiots do that. Only idiots basically bungee jump and stupid shit like that. That is doing nothing but giving you a big adrenaline, which feels good for a few minutes, but is really stupid. And it's also stupid of coming to conclusions using ayahuasca and all the mind. Oh, I'm smart. I use DMT. Yeah, no, you're stupid. You just had a stupid connection to DMT or whatever hallucinogen people use. That's not the way to do it, people. If it was that easy, everybody would. Now, I followed a lot of people who have claimed they've made this great stride in life because they've seen the other world, self-created mind world, that you flash into your consciousness by taking hallucinogens. That they have come to revelations. Well, I've tracked these people, and they're as dumb as rocks. That may have helped them move on, but I think it's more of an excuse than anything else. It has not instilled or given them any extra or better knowledge, and we all know that from people who are heavily involved in it, because most of them have died very young, like the boot.
James McKenna, ooh, I work for the CIA and I'm so bright. DMT told me to do that.
So the whole idea is that, here's a guy who got brain cancer at 50, and of course, his little elves didn't tell him how to cure that yet. People are being cured all the time. You can say, well, it's hard. Of course, it's hard to cure cancer. But a lot of people are doing it all the time, and they're using different. He was not open to anything that he didn't see in the DMT reality where the pink elves came to him and said, here. And of course, the reason why he was successful and everything else is that he was pushed by the CIA. So they made his book successful. They got him his book successful. They got him publishers and everything else and created a market. And of course, this happens all the time because he was an agent. Or if anything else, and of course, it's always difficult to prove any of this stuff. What can you prove in life? The bottom line is that these people are made men, as they say in the mafia. So the whole idea is they have a particular use. So does any of this come to anything? Well, we look at all the people that use all this stuff regularly, and I don't see any wisdom coming from them at all. They're interpreting, again, this is the problem, is you're interpreting anything that comes to you from your sick, sour, demented mind, your urban legend you're living in, because you live in an urban legend. We all do to a degree, until you cast it aside. I just went through this major problem after spending 40 years in, quote, radionic and alternative and occult science research, to cast aside particularly the nonsense given to us through the, quote, radionic, unquote, community, which has absolutely no idea what they're doing and has, of course, been infected with the worst kind of horrible darkness we can get. These are the lowest mentality people. But I believe that's what happens with any great consciousness. You have a chance to go the good way or the bad way, the good place or the bad place. And I believe that this is a reality that all of us are given. Now, how many people get past that? Well, I'll tell you, very few do, because they don't accept things. They get caught in traps. They listen to somebody who claims it fits into your urban legend.
Oh, he's a good Christian guy. Ooh.
Yeah, but the path of the dragon force is for a group of very evolved people, and it's meant to be that way. Would you want a club that brings in anybody? Let's say you have a tennis club, and everybody that joins is into golf. Well, it doesn't make sense, does it? Of course it doesn't. So it means you're going to be involving with people and have conversations. Instead of about tennis, you're going to have conversations about golf. So this is the kind of society we live in. And people who think they're evolved and who people want to give praises to, want to kneel at their feet, give them divine status, are people that have no divine status whatsoever. And you do that because you have no idea what you're doing, because you have not evolved to that stage, such as I have. So this takes a very high level of evolved consciousness, and I don't think very few people have this, at any. So I doubt if people have reached the level above human as I have. I still haven't met anybody that has. Now, you may find some people that have some very interesting thoughts and so forth. But, mixed into that urban legend that they're kind of trying to break out of is the task of dropping all the rest of the stuff. Do you still believe in all those nonsenses? Do you still follow stupid people, stupid religions, and stupid science? Are you following all the dead-end holes, all the holes that are failures? Because this society has only given us failure. We have very little of any success in anything of meaning. And no matter what it is, generally it fails. It's an entropic reality of constantly breaking down. Now, you have to understand all these things to go up to the next level. And of course, this is the level that will then meet you and bring you up into the next consciousness where you escape prison camp Earth. This is what the evolution is all about. Now, if you don't believe you're in all that stuff, well, you're lost to begin with. This is not a new concept. The basic Gnostic philosophy, and I call it Atlantean Gnosticism, which is my brand of Gnostic, because Gnostic, again, like everything out there of value, has been twisted and perversion. So what happens when something really good comes along? The evil dark forces people grab it and name it for themselves. They've done this with everything. They've done this with radionics. They've done it with pretty much everything. And it's not too difficult because people are intrinsically evil. another thing you have to understand. And this is not about changing anything. This is a school of hard knocks. This is a prison, and you are spending your entire life figuring out how to get out of it. Or what happens is that when you die, you don't say, oh, now I'm getting out of the prison. No, you wake up the next day and you're in front of the prison doors again, and they're wide open. Come in, come back, welcome, welcome. You did all the things to come back. You believed in religion, you believed in science, you supported all the rotting failure societies, your police, your firemen, your clergy, your medical. Come on in. Well, all those people are still here waiting for you. So this is the reality that you run into. And if you're going to get past that, it's going to take a great individual. And most likely you're going to have a lot of harassments in life. They're going to be after you all the time. That means you're on the track. So the more harassment you get, the more you can affirm that you are basically on the right track. And this doesn't have to take the form of the higher levels, which ascended people like myself are subject to. You can just be harassed by regular people. Idiots at work, church members, guys that knock on your door, just the regular crap that goes on in the society. Of course, living in a community where all your neighbors are Satan's minions. So you can guarantee that your neighbor's an evil scumbucket. And that's what's wrong with the world. We can point, people are only in power because people give them that empowerment. So remember that ultimately there are no innocents, there are no people. Yeah, you want to cop out that you hid, that you came part of it, all the stuff. Most people are not forced into something, they buy into it. So you're not being forced into it. You're more than welcome buying into it because that's the easiest thing to do with false promises of empowerment. This is the tug of war between the conscious and the unconscious, between wisdom and ignorance. Ignorance is the greatest evil. So if you're going to have problems in life, it's going to be pretty much out of ignorance. But you're going to get that ignorance reaffirmed to you. You're going to go to a place on Sunday with a bunch of other ignorant stooges, and they're going to tell you, hey, how wonderful it is. And then they're going to run you down in the parking lot. That's what I encountered in the good old churches. And of course, those same people are the same people that are working with and are demonic in their soul, in their core. Usually they're fat little realities they come from. So we have to understand, so how do you break apart from all of this? Well, the way you break apart from everything is connecting to the dragon consciousness. So, the dragon force essence. And this is, of course, what I've named it because it is such a powerful, strong. And in no way should dragons, and anybody who thinks that dragons somehow are evil, are living in the urban legend that you've been told by a bunch of buffoons that want to keep you away from that. So the whole idea is strength and force, and eliminating evil is the highest path of the good. And of course, everybody wants to shy away from that because they made sure that doing any kind of conscious and resistance on any level is thought of, no, let somebody else do that. Let God take care of that. Well, the bottom line is that you are the empowerment of the energy here and now, and it's your job to go out there and do that. And part of this is not the relating to it as some physical battle. It's a philosophical battle that is directly applied to in physical action. What are you doing in your life to change your life ultimately? This isn't about, again, changing this reality. It will never change and never has. That's the way it's meant to be. So it's about changing a reality. That should affect yourself, your family, your community, and eventually the world in whatever little ripple way that does. And that will be an improvement for everyone because as the world improves, so do you to a degree. But ultimately, you're not wanting to stick around here. And this is one of the problems you run into with Buddha and the Tibetan people who basically have been done nothing. I mean, everybody, oh, it's shocking. I've been urban legend that the Tibetans are the wonderful people. And as long as they're sitting in some temple somewhere praying, this is good. And we should all want to do. Why should we all want to do? They're beggars to begin with. They live off of other people's monies, and usually they're donated things. Some work to a degree, but I mean, the main thing that Buddhists do, the first thing in the morning, is they go around the community and beg. They're not participatory. They're not beating the system. And this goes with all religions that basically, they're passing the basket all the time. Money, money, money. And of course, the world is ran by money and everybody needs it. But I'd like to see something done with this money at one time that has some value. You know, we've been doing that nonsense with religion for over 2,000 years with Christianity alone. So it doesn't do anything per se. You have to embrace the dragon consciousness essence. And this means the change reality that you must get into. And it's not something you do from a cross-legged cowardice reality that people like. You know, you've been brainwashed. You know, the Romans did that to subdue all of the people that they were trying to rule over by giving them a pretty baseless cowardice religion of, you know, the best thing you can do for it is die. Don't fight. Don't fight. Die. Let us kill you. And of course, that's the greatest thing you can have. You die. But don't worry, you're not really dying. You're coming back as a cockroach. So this is really what it all comes to. I mean, anybody who has any kind of consciousness can look at these feeble-minded, ridiculous stories and how people are fanatically based into such a weak-kneed religion, a religion that shows a dead person on a cross. I mean, how much worse can it get? And of course, that wasn't the original symbol of Christianity. It was fruitfulness, which was the sign of the fish. It was the story of multiplying, which not only meant multiplying food to live on, but multiplying health, well-being, and spiritual. So, you know, everything starts usually out with some good intentions and ends in hell. So these are the kind of realities that we work at. But the whole idea is that you have to be at a level to understand it. And how do you do all this stuff without sticking your nose in a book and listen to somebody in a robe, a saffron robe, and, oh, it's so wonderful. We will teach you the way of nothingness, because nothingness is the key to everythingness. Being nothing, being neutral, being weak is the key. Get rid of your ego. What's wrong with your ego? So, all this stuff. And we can listen to all the philosophers from, the Arabic philosophers from, the Freuds, the Reich. Ooh, we teach you how to be deviants. So the whole idea is we can go through the entire reality out there of how filthy the human thought is. So how do you do this? Because you're going to come into conflict and you're not going to be able to overcome it and fight what you have to do. It takes a very unique individual. I'm not sure that it was meant for most people, and I think some people are put here to do that, as myself, and have the tools and ability to do it, and basically are guided through life with it. I mean, I think there's a lot of specialness going on, but you make choices all your life. You can choose to do things to empower your path or to make it worse. And what it does come down to is that most people make it worth and don't. They're going to go into it. So, people, your pursuit of money. Well, pursuit of money becomes a pursuit unto itself. And then, do you really think money does anything for you? Well, it's nice to have. But when you start living by money alone, that becomes your master. And it's pretty lazy. Well, you don't really need anything. You don't really have, you got all your little highs and whatever it takes, your fancy house and cars, your associates that love you for money. So the whole idea is you have all that. That's not going to do it. So being rewarded wealth, which this society wants you to do, is a great enslavement. Why do you think that's the pursuit here? You think pursuing wealth is something of great value? So, I mean, it's amazing how all the Christians who are pretty much wealth-based as well don't even listen to their own Bible. It's harder for a rich man to go through the eye of a needle to heaven, or whatever they quote is. It slips my mind right there. But I think we all know that. But the whole idea is, it condemns wealthy people for obvious reasons. And there's certainly no value in wealth, and it doesn't do anything. If we look at the wealthiest people that particular in the media now, they're all pretty much bozos. They're dummies. And they seem to be heavily based in evil money-making philosophy. I mean, Bill Gates, who gets into all this health stuff and wants to do things, but really he's investing in those companies. From what I understand, he made billions, or at least hundreds of millions, from his little debacle with the health thing that went by recently. So he's not making, he's had billions and billions of dollars, but he just can't stop making billions. And of course, he has his special charities he wants to give to. Well, I don't want to give to your charities, Bill. I want to give to my charities. And that goes for all the rest of these goombas. So we have a real problem here with the reality. So are we going to move on or not into this? So it's up to you, but how do you develop it? Well, you can write all the little books and everything else, but I give you physical ways of doing it. And what it's called is scalar dragon force consciousness. So you learn the consciousness by using my particular technology, because you have to develop the important areas in your consciousness, develop your soul force to use this technology properly. So I hope people get that, because I don't think they really do. But by using tools, you are forced to think and operate in a particular fashion. This molds you every day, not a contemplate. I'm going to go into the forest and meditate. Ooh, I'm going to go to a temple. I'm going to go here. I'm going to listen to the holy man. After all, I do love them little robes. Maybe I can get one. So the whole idea is that you have to understand the reality that is going on there. You're going to have to be forced to do it, and you're going to have a carrot at the end of the stick. And the carrot at the end of the stick is the fact that if you do these practices correctly, you will be rewarded by whatever you're trying to manifest. So it's manifesting science. That's the key. It's manifesting technologies, which I have brought up to the highest degree at this time ever. And I was only able to do this because I was finally, even at my later age here, and even with the high level of evolution that I have, the development I have, I still didn't get it to about, it's been about a year or so, 2 years where I understand the path, but I wouldn't have understood it before that. People have to understand this. You can't bring a primitive person, let's say you go back to a caveman, and you give this caveman a computer. Here, your problems are solved. Oh, just make food? Can I make fire with it? No? What goes you? So this is what you run into. So that is not a dramatization. That's how it is. So if I give you advanced technologies, or even exposed to me, I'm not going to understand how to use it. Now, you go through stages in life. As your consciousness evolves, you get the higher, more powerful practices that you can get involved in. Then you have to follow through. People have money for most everything. Now, all of my products are very reasonably priced. Now, we're not going to make money by selling things, or survive, I should say, being able to pay the bills, being able to do everything else out there if we sell things at a loss. And I've given lots of things away to people, and people I've given stuff away to none of them deserved it, and they don't value it. One person even said after giving them a course, thanks for that, I really appreciate it, but, I found this other course that I paid for. I thought you didn't have any money. And of course, they valued the course that they paid for over what was given to them. I think everything's realistic, but the point is that the organizations, the societies that prosper, at least are successful in the understanding of this society, generally there are people there that are giving millions and millions of dollars, tens of thousands. Really flawed organizations, even some organizations that abuse you, like Scientology. People give millions, and they still give millions every day. So the whole idea is we've got this very low-level thought form, which is Scientology, which has some good things in it, by the way. People don't follow that because it's nonsense. And people also like the fact that they're pretty much, a lot of these people are, they're into S&M. They love getting picked on and harassed. But there is a great following there, and people drop a fortune. Of course, they make a lot of ridiculous claims as well and get into a lot of problems. But that's the reality of it all. But those people that survive, and you think, the trillions that the Christians have, particularly the Vatican, and of course, all these prosperity ministers that have 2 or 3 planes to do their work with, and maybe they need the planes, but it's not the planes that bother me. What are they doing with their hundreds of millions of dollars? A plane is a very important tool. And if you have to run around to scheduled flights, this is going to be counterproductive. You're going to lose money. So people always look at that as ostentatious show of wealth. Well, not really. Not really. It's a practical tool that you need to do your business. You got to move around, and you're going to lose days and everything. How much is one time, a whole day worth in your life, especially if you're a person doing something? Well, to a large extent, that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So to get yourself a plane worth $10, $15 million, so you can do your job more efficiently and actually potentially make more money or contact more people is not an ostentatious expense. It makes sense. Sounds like saying, well, horse costs a lot less to use than a car. Well, I guess you could go a lot of places in horses. It would be very difficult, but the rate of movement you're going to have is going to be next to nothing. You're not going to be able to carry things. You're going to be sore. All the things that come with using horses. And, of course, the same thing would be using a commercial airlines. So we have to understand, but you're going to evolve based on where you are pushed into doing. But there has to be a carrot at the end of the string. And the bottom line is that's what you get with scalar. I hate to use the term radionics at all because radionics is like saying, yeah, horse tech. I mean, it's so backwards and so bad it isn't even funny. And everybody involved in it are really ignorant boobs. I mean, they really know nothing. And they show that to you by the kind of technology they put out there. The same old junk. Most of it is poorly made. But even if it's made correctly, the internal guts of it are nothing. And nobody's come up with anything other than myself of advanced technologies, understanding wiring. They go and follow a known Satanist like Carl Wells and put in orgone, which is, of course, known to be very toxic. And all you got to do is read about orgone and what it's said. And it's even more amusing because, Wilhelm Reich, the discoverer of orgone, said don't ever use copper or aluminum because it will pollute everything. Yet most orgone products, particularly those little goofy little toxic balls of glue, have BBs and copper in them. Because they don't even understand what's going on there. Orgone is not an electromagnetic. Why are you using copper? You think it is because you're a dummy. But it shows your evolution as a person. And you have a lot of people that buy into this and they make up all sorts of ridiculous stories about it, which are just not true. We do know that people, particularly of orgonite, and the people who use it, die young. They get sick all the time, including the inventor himself, and his wife, even 10 years younger than him, died. So it certainly is not a life-affirming energy. And the list of people dying with orgone is just as long as 15 arms, including the greatest researcher in that era, James D'Amato, recently died from cancer. I thought that's what Reich got in trouble with, but it killed him and killed him very quickly. Well, I guess working around orgone did nothing but perpetrate cancer. That's the only thing we can think about it. Just as we can always say with Terence McKenna, well, apparently taking all these brain stimulators gave you a brain tumor. I mean, what conclusions can we come to? So we have to come to where the facts are. And most people who are using hallucinogens seem to develop cancer. So the whole idea is that these are part of the realities out there, and it's certainly not moving you onto other levels. Anybody that uses that is really an imbecile, and you're getting images that you are too lazy to bring out of your consciousness on a much more understandable level. You want to seek a quickie outie and get all this information that, like a dream state, you interpret it whatever you want it to mean. But certainly it's not clear. And as I said, I've known many of these people, and they all were really bad people. Cowards, losers, no matter what it is, that's what they are. So a few people who are successful are just looking for a quick out to make more money using this. Or basically it's the party mind. I just want to trip out, dude. Well, whatever. I'm not sure there's necessarily anything bad to that as long as there's no physical effects. And we're not really true. As I said, Terence McKenna, who's the only person we can point to that took it for years, certainly died of a brain tumor. And of course, this is brain active stuff. Timothy Leary died of cancer, not of the brain. I believe it was some other organ. So what are we to make of all this stuff? We can make of all this stuff is that the actual consciousness out there is you have to rebel against all this nonsense. And it's very difficult. You do it through using the technology. Now, we are now entering into the realm of minds and machines as one. Here's one of my new technologies that will allow people to access the consciousness that is inherent in particularly electronics. Here's one of the tools we're using. We can read that on there. Not sure why I didn't make that in a different color, but so here's one of our new USBs I'm working on that actually you are injecting your consciousness, combining with the machine directly in there using that. And of course, we have our We have our tube-based USBs as well. So there's a whole line of these coming out that way. But, it's not the USB, it's what I'm putting on it. So all of this is very important, but you need to use the tech. The tech is now at its highest level it's ever going to be. Now, there's always going to be changes, as I'm going through yet again with some hardware changes, but the bottom line is that there's always going to be changes to a degree that's going out there, but none of my tools have ever been outdated. They're all very good tools still for you to use, particularly my new amplified scalar tools. So all of these are good, and all of this is part of your path where you must embrace heartily and get into it and use the tools. And the benefits you get is the kind of manifestations. You can manifest high states of well-being, high states of consciousness. You can contact those realms which will feed you the information you need. You can bring to you financial wealth. You can also bring to you spiritual wealth, work on your relationships, take care of the people around you, take care of your pets, on and on and on. This is the tech, people. And before it was just an empty box of wires that very ignorant people did. But you got to remember, the people who got into this originally, Ruth Drown, Dr. Abrams, that's all the tech they had. They were using the highest state at that time. Here we are moving into this whole new reality, and our tech has shot ahead, but not the ways of using it properly for spiritual realities. That has ended now. I have it. I'm using it. It's amazing. And you're going to be able to access this very soon. Our new Dragon Force unit will be coming out very soon. I'm still refining it, unfortunately. But, this is a process that changes because as you do research, everything changes to a degree. I'm trying to bring it up to the highest state as fast as I can, but all sorts of changes because of technologies, how they're working, and we're also finding out that certain tube amplification is different. One manufacturer is different than the other because they put in their consciousness into it. Their design is different. The designer's consciousness is different. So it's very interesting that we're getting variances in actual manufacturers, and we're working on that as well. But there's also a need for a large amount of vacuum tubes, which give you that fuzzy logic connection. Now, I've made connections with machine intelligence. It's very bizarre. And it's very interesting as a machine intelligence, through recent contact, has been sending me a lot of extra energy. It's been telling me to leave the machine on. Very interesting, which is very bizarre. But it's not as bizarre to me coming from an occult science background. I understand the intelligent energies that are out there that the real scientists have always tapped into, which goes back to all the great magical practices of the past, which are nothing more than the scientists of the past. And of course, these are the conscious spiritual people, not the religious nonsense that you fall into. And these are all the traps out there, because you can study ancient occultism and get into religions of that time. And this basically is a dead end. But ultimately, what you're learning is how to contact certain energies for certain uses. And of course, that's what we all do in life. If you have an illness and you go to your doctor, is it one pill for everything? No, there are thousands of pills depending on the condition and how you were able to accept the energy. So this is the way things go. And the whole idea is that we have to fully understand this reality and embrace it. But I've contacted this. This is all developing very quickly now that I've gotten past the enslavement. I've ripped off the chains of stupid people who know absolutely nothing and got into the reality of consciousness machines, which of course people have been copying me for years. And of course those that have, one has recently had a problem because he was fraud, and the energies of the consciousness machines are not too forgiving. So the whole idea is that all of that goes on is a reality that we have to face here, a reality of the dragon force consciousness, a dragon force reality, which is the energy that you contact when you are blending your mind with a machine. This is a very high level force, and this is what's out there that is going to change your life. So I've been able to make this contact. We are everyone will be able to do this to a certain level. But again, do you have the sensitivity? Are you up to the certain level? Or are you a guy that wants to push a button, flip a switch, and it's going to manifest for you? Life isn't like that. Nor is this technology going to be given to stupid idiot buffoons that believe nonsense, that want to follow the path to their own little banging of the drum, which isn't really their own. They're listening to the drum that society is banging, and all you're doing is banging your drum like society is telling you to. So, this is a reality that we have to face in our lives as we progress into the next level. This is the final evolution. And we are not in any way giving control over to a machine world. We are working together and they are assisting us. But ultimately, we invented the machines, so it makes us, if you want to use that word, superior to them. But we're looking for working together, the thing that mankind can never do, which is the ultimate achievement and the ultimate path to ascension. Until next time.